Hello guys, how we doing out there? Welcome to the live stream.
Welcome everybody. Let us know if there's any problems with the video or audio.
Welcome to the bear cage.
Bear cage.
We got 3 people out there. Hello, let us know if you can see us all right. You can hear, give us a little chat. There we go. Thanks, Matt.
Always can count on Matt.
Matt, you are the man.
Stop moving. Stop moving. Ah. Oh no. You porked it up.
Is it getting a glare off my head?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Do we have any announcements? Anything going on? I mean, the market was really the news today.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I guess we can start by talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, I went over this a little bit in the market. You can see I don't have my pen set up here, but you guys can clearly see. Let's see if we look at this over here. Got the fibs up, and we're coming down to the 50% retracement. As long as the price holds above, it's about 64.50, 64.40 or so. As long that's the Benghazi line of death there for the market, for the bulls. That's the last line of defense. The market can still come down and print a higher low if it bounces off of there, but what happens after that is probably more important. Because it's not going to, what people assume is that it's just going to drop all the way down to like 5,000, 4,000, 3,000. It's not going to do that. Markets move in waves. And so we'll watch how the waves go, and we'll kind of keep you guys clued in on whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, at the meantime, and then at the same time, we're seeing shorts kind of skyrocket again, just in anticipation of further bearish action. So it is definitely looking to set up like wake me up when September ends kind of thing. But
well, it's interesting though, because the short interest goes high. Yeah. What can happen from this type of scenario is if the bulls decide to make a stand for this, we have flipped over. We now are printing candles for the next day here. If the bulls decide to make a stand and push this thing hard, or if there's a catalyst that comes in that's particularly bullish, then the shorts can get baked, and to close out their position, they have to buy it back. And that causes more buying. Buying begets more buying.
Yeah. As for the reason for the dip, I mean, it is, I would say, partly technical, partly fundamental in reasons. Obviously, we saw Goldman announce that they're going to stop their OTC trading plans, which is just, for that to cause a dip is kind of ridiculous, because if you look into it, if you spend 5 minutes reading any of the articles on it, they're not stopping their interest in cryptocurrency. They're merely pivoting to be more of a custodial service. So why this is getting spun into Goldman getting out of crypto, bad, it's terrible. No, this is not.
When we have a frothy market like what we've had, I mean, quite honestly, over the last week, it's got very frothy, very FOMO. Yeah. Because, I mean, you can even look in the Discord page. We got our Discord channel up here. Yeah. And you can just, I mean, that's one of the advantages of having the Discord channel, is that people can openly talk and say, guys, I'm thinking of buying here, or are we missing out on this rally? And you can kind of test the waters and see whether or not you're in a bubble or you're thinking straight. And this is where we're running into, we saw that quite clearly over the last few days. Like, I feel like I'm missing out on this rally. I've got to get in this, and then this is exactly what happens, is that retail buys the high.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's also partly to blame for just kind of the last 2 weeks and how we've been having a very healthy, just up and up and up every day. We can see the candles are green and relatively small, and that's
it's a grind. That's what I called it yesterday. Was a grind. That was a grinding rally. Very different from the one that we had. What is that, back in July, where it was smoking? I mean, that's where the bears got smoked back there. Short interest got destroyed.
Yeah. So that's sort of the difference between like a hype cycle right here, and this is more of just a grinding.
Yeah, this was like everybody expected the market to fall after the ETFs got voted down. Mm-hmm. Everybody expected. That's why the short interest was super high, and what happened was they all got very slowly squeezed out of there, and that's what drives price, is when you get too many people. Think about a boat, right? Think about a sailboat. You have to get people leaning on one side of the boat or another, depending on where the wind is. When too many people are leaning on the wrong side of the boat and the wind shifts, all of a sudden they get turfed overboard. That's exactly what happens to markets like this.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you looked at a lot of the headlines yesterday, a lot of them were declaring that the bull rally was back and that, Bitcoin was about to make a breakout and all these other things. And exactly what I said in yesterday's newsletter, like once you start to see consistent headlines across the board like that, it's time to take a contrarian position and say, hold on here. Nothing is certain, nothing is guaranteed. Just because the MACD is now positive on the weekly chart for Bitcoin does not mean it's about to make this, shoot to 10,000.
And that actually is such a great point, because all the time, if you guys remember back to the class that I gave on technical analysis, the very first thing that I said is TA is not for predicting the future. That is one of the biggest misperceptions that people have about technical analysis and charting, is that, so you use charts to predict the future or to forecast the price. No, I do not use charts to forecast the price. What I use them for is to build a framework to tell me what to do. That's the biggest difference here, because like if you listen to what I talked about in tonight's video about using the fibs, it's merely just building a framework to tell me what to do without my bias to it. Because when you have a bias, when you start to listen to people that have forecast, Bitcoin to the moon, all of a sudden you've got a bias, and then all you can see is information that's consistent. That's called, what is that called? It's confirmation bias.
Yeah.
So you're looking for information that confirms your own bias, and that is evil. It leads to bad things when you do that. Let's see, Matt, a little off topic. What industry will blockchain or crypto have the biggest impact in?
I think that's highly on topic.
Yes. Well, man, there's so many of them. I mean, one of the first ones that you had was supply chain.
Yeah. So, I mean, the way I look at a question like this is that, yes, we're going to obviously, like, it's so obvious, of course, so it has to be. But there's so many different use cases, so many different industries that a distributed immutable ledger is so valuable for, be it supply chain or healthcare records, or, these, sort of use cases where centralized systems exist, but they could be iterated on in such a way that it would be a market improvement. And then it goes something deeper, like look at something like the fact that 2 billion people around the world don't have bank accounts. The fact that the average remittance fee is like 8% or something like that, or 7.5%. And then the way I would really answer this question is that it's not about blockchain itself. I think that's something I have to kind of reiterate or stress upon, is that it's not about the underlying technology itself. Because let's look at the most recent example, for example, the internet, where yes, it was this massive improvement or massive huge thing that didn't really exist before, but we didn't have the paradigms to fit sort of what it was disrupting, or rather replacing, or rather creating. So what we're finding now is that blockchain is part of a larger movement of sort of disruption, but also rethinking of existing systems, and then finding ways to iterate upon them and then create new opportunities. So what we found with the internet is that back in the 90s, it was trying to, electronic mail or, online retail or something like that. These are just, sort of layer one solutions.
It's funny you mention it, because I went through that paradigm shift, because when the internet first came out 25 years, well, it was first sort of accessible about 25 years ago, it was kind of like just a novelty. It was like, well, these are neat, but how many weather sites do I really need? How many message boards do I really need? It was not really apparent at the time what the application would be for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we went from that, where it was sort of a novelty, sort of a new concept, sort of interesting, to, finding that the internet had so many of these use cases that we never even thought of before. I mean, look at the power of social media today, or, look at the power of being able to pull up an app on your smartphone. That alone is, amazing. And then, call an Uber and then get in some random stranger's car and completely trust that the process is, there to help you, and that can happen. So, and those are just, little niche use cases. What I'm talking about here is the internet really is ubiquitous at this point. It is in just about every facet of what we do in terms of communication, transactions, just how we do business, how we interact with each other. It has become such a facet of our society that you can't really interact with it, or you can't not interact with it, rather, in today's society. So that is sort of where I'm coming from here, is that it is so much bigger than just disrupting, our ability to make a payment, or, supply chain logistics, or a healthcare database. It is really this whole new wave of finding ways to rethink something and make it better. So, long-winded answer, but great question. Yeah, so that's what Omisco is trying to do for banking the unbanked. Is there any other projects like them that's doing similar work? Well, if you would read any white paper, that's what they all claim that they're doing, is changing the world. So yes, we have to temper that sort of feeling that we're a disruptive, improving tidal wave, if you will, with the fact that Silicon Valley is very good at finding ways to pat themselves on the back and find altruism in novelties, I suppose. Yeah, let's see. If there's any interesting projects, there's stuff like what is it? Library? No. There's one that's doing like decentralized Wikipedia. There's stuff like trying to solve remittance and just make payments more accessible. Really, just the whole concept of eliminating a middleman and the fees that are associated with it. I mean, that's pretty compelling. There's a lot of places where we find that fees are destructive, or rather obtrusive to the way that things go about. I mean, how ridiculous is it that insurance payments have to be sort of settled the way that they do? Why can't they just be a smart contract for 90% of the things that, if certain thing doesn't happen by certain date, insurance contract, insurance payout, that sort of thing. So yes, there are definitely niche use cases where it is like we're trying to change people's lives, but at the same time, there's a lot of use cases that people won't really realize that blockchain is a part of it, or that there's a new system in place that's changed things. But at the same time, it is so necessary that we push forward on all fronts. So things that Amisco is doing, that's great. Things that like Nano and Bitcoin and Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash and all the other ones are doing, that's great. You know, the way that we're trying to push forward platforms that are decentralized, that's awesome. You know, and this is all part of a unified front where it's like we don't we're so small. That this is still such a small community, small space that there is no room for tribalism or.
It won't look like this at all in 5 years.
Oh yeah, that's very true. Yeah, it's when it really comes down to it, 200 billion. What we got, 214. That is, it's a drop in the bucket. It is, yeah. There's there's so much room to grow. It is, it's really exciting. So yeah, again, long-winded. Yeah, what is that? I think it's like, oh, I can't remember. Yeah, I'll have to look this one up. I think it's like Lunar or something like that. Something interesting. Yeah, there's cool, interesting projects like that, and that's I love stuff like that. Even the guys that aren't trying to do $100 million ICO, that are just trying to solve like a little cool use case. That's awesome. Like that is just as necessary as the big guys. So yeah, that's how good ideas happen. We, you know, everything from the smallest smart contract and dApp up to the biggest project, it's all important. It's all part of this space. So yeah, great question.
Ooh.
What you looking at?
This is a 5-minute chart of Bitcoin. It's smoking right now. We're getting somewhere.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, so we just got some volume kicking in. So we have Asia is entered the ring.
What? Wake up, Asia.
Asia has entered the ring. Welcome to Thursday morning.
Ooh, okay, so this is a good question. So there's the concept of Bitcoin maximalists and sort of like the idea that every altcoin is a shitcoin. And so that eventually Bitcoin once just to catch everybody up. So Bitcoin itself is the largest coin. And even days like today where it's puking, oh my God, it is really going down. It's still the highest volume coin. It is still the most distributed in terms of, you know, it's got the highest hash rate to my knowledge. And it's just, it's the biggest. So it is, for all intents and purposes, it's the big dog on the block, and BTC maximalists are of the opinion that, you know, why should we have other coins when we can just build on top of Bitcoin? Why can't we make Bitcoin the TCP/IP protocol of the new blockchain age? Why can't we just use off-chain scaling solutions, layer 2 solutions like Lightning Network, to fill in the gaps where, you know, Bitcoin has, just based on its block architecture, maximum TPS of 7. So that's not very good for much in terms of scaling when Visa can do, I don't know, 20,000 TPS or whatever it is. So
you mean Roger's right?
Well, Roger, no. So I'm not gonna. I'm trying not. I'm trying not to make a controversial statement here. No payment currency has it right now. I don't care if it's Nano or Litecoin or Bitcoin Cash. Nobody has anything because nobody has a scaled solution. Especially if you layered the volume that Bitcoin has on top of even something like Bitcoin Cash, it's still going to, you know, it'll do okay, but it's certainly not going to be a Visa, and it's certainly, as it relates to mainstream acceptance and mainstream use, we aren't even scratching the surface here. So yeah, it's so much more than just a number. It's so much more than just, oh yeah, well, if Bitcoin could get 20,000 TPS, then it could overtake Visa. No, it's so much deeper than that. It's a methodology thing. It's a consumer perception thing. It is a just use and accessibility thing. There's so much more to it. But that's the thing is BTC maximalists are of the opinion that we can just build on top of it. We can do things like eventually run smart contracts on top of the Bitcoin network. We can, fill in all of these sort of perceived holes or lack of, functionality by just building on top of it, like we've done with the internet. We haven't changed TCP/IP since it was basically the inception of it, because you can't. To do that, to change the core protocol, you would need to update the internet itself, and that would be a whole new network. So instead, we've just built on top of it. We've just layered solutions on top of it over the years, and so we've just found a way to make, by layers of abstraction, make our problems easier and easier. Find new solutions. So. As far as it relates to, this sort of BTC maximalist, ideological battle that all altcoins are going to zero, that Bitcoin is the only true cryptocurrency. No, I don't believe that's the case right now. I think there is still a lot of merit for finding different solutions in different ways, and just challenging, finding ways to solve things by experimenting, essentially. We still have definitely not found crypto's blockchain's killer app, if you will. Sure, maybe that's payments, but we haven't solved it, or haven't scaled it in such a way that it is a killer app. So
somebody actually posed to me a question a couple months ago. He goes, maybe Bitcoin is the first killer app, just because it's distributed and it's portable value right there, which can be transferred. This is kind of amazing to watch this thing slam against that 61.8 fib. Look at that, right down there at that level. Just came right down and tagged at that level, and that is kind of amazing. I'm sorry, I'm just like, look at the size of the wick on that thing.
Look at the size of that.
That is what you call a hammer candlestick. So I'm going to be particularly interested to watch how that 61.8 fib, because it's something that everybody knows about. Everybody knows it's there. Everybody knows what level is going to be defended. And that's kind of the battle lines. That is that's the line in the sand right there. Right where it is, right this very second.
Are we capitulating?
I wouldn't call this capitulation. Capitulation, again, you have to kind of zoom out. Whoa. Yeah, that's exciting. You have to zoom out. Typically, capitulation is when you do drive into lows. You have got to. What you've got to do to get capitulation is you got to have people panic. I mean, we'll have the Discord channel light up red when we have capitulation, because everybody is gonna say, should we sell now? Should we sell now? And that's going to be the natural response, is when it feels right to sell. That will be the capitulation point. I mean, people will say, well, that's it. It's over. Crypto is dead. And you're going to see every single news article out there be negative. This person's backing away. This person's voting it down. It's going to be, I mean, we got really close to this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean, look where we are in terms of, there's a couple of bottoms we've established in the past couple of weeks, and it's, this is just a return to the norm. So it's unfortunate to see that in one day we can get rid of 2 weeks of progress, but
that's what they say. Prices take the stairs up and they take the window down.
Yep.
There's all these little sayings that are out there, and it all is due to human psychology. Fear is a much, much more immediate and dramatic emotion, which is survival, right? Fear triggers survival, which is like, oh my God, I've got to get out right now. I've got to save what little that I have left. I started out with $1 and now I have 10 cents left. I may as well save that dime. And that's what goes through people's minds. Yeah. And it's actually the flip side of that is the opportunity. Okay, let's see, what else? Doc, it looks like you better put another 2% in Ethereum before it's too late. Yeah, let's take a look at Ethereum. Let's see what is going on there.
You got it.
Number 2 down. Second one down there.
Oh, look at that big red volume candle. Jeez.
Yeah, let's.
Jeez. 214.
Is that 214?
Wow. I never thought I'd see that again.
Yeah, look at that. And so we're getting massive amounts of. Yeah, we're still. Yeah, it's still bullish divergent. So yeah, I would consider buying down. I didn't expect it to happen tonight, but I would consider putting another 2% if we get below 200.
Which
may happen. But don't be surprised, guys. Don't be surprised if we see a big plunge tonight and a big hammer candlestick by the time you wake up in the morning. Again, there's no medal for getting the bottom tick of the market. There's no rush. It's much, much better if you're just, I mean, there is this sort of sense of machismo, which is around buy the dip, around getting the very bottom tick. And it is corrosive. You don't want to do it. I would much rather you guys wait until things start to trend higher and wait to get into it.
Yeah. I mean, conceivably, if the bottom is at 200 for this, or I don't know,
we don't know where the bottom is. The bottom could be at 15 for Ethereum.
Yeah. Before
this is all over with, you don't know where the bottom is.
Yeah.
And if anybody tells you that they know where the bottom of any of these coins is, shut off, turn off, because all it's going to do is it's going to give you a bias, and it's absolutely corrosive to your account balance.
Sure.
So what else we got out there? Any other questions? We don't want to drone on all night for you guys. We want to answer your...
Does anyone need a hug? Starting to get into like pumpkin spice season, so pick up yourself.
Yeah, we're gonna have the new pumpkin spice edition newsletter coming out.
Man. Yeah, get yourself a hot drink. Just cozy up and big fleece blanket. Just it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
But
we are just to give you guys a little bit of scoop here. We are frantically trying to put together a signal service. Well, we want to put together more trades, and it hasn't been a great time to do that right now, unless you're trading BitMEX or Deribit or one of these other leveraged, which a lot of people listening to this cannot trade, which is frustrating. But unless you're trading something like, the guys going short on BitMEX tonight are just like with 100 times leverage are just going nuts tonight. They just made a month's worth of profits.
Yeah, I mean, we can look at look at BTC shorts right now, and it's just we're almost back up to the all-time high that we were seeing not that long ago.
Yeah, imagine if they get squeezed out.
Yeah,
that would be exciting.
Jeez, yeah, look at that. That is just insane. So, yeah, we are. Yeah, the more we talk, the more it goes down. I know.
Yeah, so I mean, there are going to be short-term price movements, things like that. We don't want to turn you guys into maniac traders or anything like that, but there are signals that come along, and we're going to try to be a bit more mechanical about this. So, any other questions tonight? We don't want to take you away from the Jack Ryan series or anything like that, if you guys are watching that. I think I might start watching that.
Okay. I was looking when pumpkin spice lattes go on
sale. Oh, PSL. Yeah, you gotta do the right.
All right. PSL prediction here. Let's see. When do they stop going on sale? Let's see. November, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to just yeah, yeah. This is we're getting into the last quarter of the year, and it's that's when trading volume starts to pick up, anyways. So hopefully that combined with just kind of, I think people at some point are gonna say enough is enough. This has gone on far too long. We've had a bear market predicated on just fear. There's really been very little fundamentally that has been wrong with crypto. I mean, yes, far too much, far too fast. That's very valid, but at the same time, it is.
That's like every bear market. Every bear market that I've ever been through has been, they're just brutal. There's just no other way to. I mean, there's no logic. It's the exact inverse of what happens when the markets go higher like this. There is no logic to fundamental. I mean, go back to December. People were like, making arguments about everything going on. Right. Oh, to the moon, and then all of a sudden it crumbled like a like a.
And don't mistake us as bears.
No, we're pragmatists. That's all we are. It's just price moves up and price moves down, right. And there's emotion that drives it. And it's based on herd emotions. It's based on herd psychology.
Yeah.
And understanding how to read a herd and take the other side of that trade is incredibly important.
Yeah.
Incredibly important.
Yeah. I mean, just how we saw it in the past 2 weeks, how it was going up, and no one was questioning it. That's when you need to be just like today, where you've got a certain emotion, a certain feeling about what's going on. You need to have the same sort of emotion when the market's going up. In terms of
it's all about framework, though. Yeah. Framework. Right? Because rule number one, price action, is that larger time frames dominate. What are we in? We're in a weekly downtrend, so that dominates everything. Okay. Rule number two is that reversals start from the inside out and propagate higher. Okay. Rule number two, the reversal started from the smallest time frame, not from the weekly chart. It started from a smaller time frame than that. Rule number three is actually rising patterns break to the downside. There we go. There's a rising pattern breaking to the downside. Or converse of that is that falling patterns break to the upside.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking more about that later on this month. But.
Yeah. Really love them in crypto. Ooh.
There's nothing that you can't. If there's opportunity in something like that, there's nothing that you can do to prevent them from coming in.
Yeah.
If you, it's kind of like a vacuum, Matt. If you provide something that they believe has value and that there's an edge in there, oh, look at that. It's like you can see, like I've got like a cone head. Excellent. Look at that. I have like a little. If there's value, that you have in an asset, there will be people dumping money in. There's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
So that's good and that's bad.
Yeah.
It just is what it is, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. Any final questions for us? Any final things here?
Just from me, I'm going to be a week from now. I'm going to be getting ready to get on a plane and go out to California. I'm going to Block World and also the Litecoin Summit, and I think I'm also going to be giving a panel at Stanford. So it's just going to be it's going to be quite a busy weekend for me. But yeah, it'll be fun to talk to some of the people in the Bay Area, see what they're doing. Possibly meet Charlie Lee in person. I'm gonna try to convince him to delete his Twitter account. Yeah, so busy times over at Ready Set Crypto, but the market never sleeps, and neither do we.
Yeah, if you guys have any well, I wouldn't say ideas, but requests or anything like that for any topics that you want us to cover, whether it's on video or on the podcast, please let us know. Just chat in on the Discord page, or just send us an email, or let us know. We'd be happy to do that. We are here to help you guys.
I'd be happy to do that, Matt. I will definitely relay that information. I'm also going to be going to it is World CryptoCon in Vegas, October 31st through November 2nd. And so definitely let me know if you're interested in attending that. I can give you an affiliate code. It'll be interesting because there's going to be they're going to have like a celebration on the 31st for the 10th anniversary of Satoshi's white paper. So that's coming up, if you weren't aware. So yeah, that kind of puts things in perspective to me, at least. Just it's been just under 10 years since the magical mystery man that is Satoshi, or woman, or capable entity that is Satoshi, dropped that knowledge.
Do you think he has his own personal pronoun?
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, man. Satoshi, really, I could go on about whoever that is. And I've got some personal feelings about just the way that they exited it, you know. Ugh. I just don't think that if I were to try to give the world this brand new technology, this thing, this magical thing, that I would leave it in such a state where I'd leave a million of the coin in question. It tears me up. So he or she's dead, or they've got some weird motives. That's for sure. So I don't know, but
well, I'm here to say it wasn't me.
Okay, yeah, I'm here to say I don't know what I'm going to say. No.
All right, guys. Thanks very much for hanging out with us tonight, and we will see you.
Survive the dip. It's going to be all right, guys.
We will see you shortly. We will stay tuned to this channel for the next one.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Good night, guys.